Welcome back to Crypto for Christians. My name's Alex, and I'm a blockchain and cryptocurrency enthusiast. And joining me on the other screen is Pastor Rick. How are you doing today, Rick?
I'm doing great, Alex. I'm glad to be back. I know we have exciting things to talk about today, new and interesting things to discuss, and you always have a lot of great information for us, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I almost owe our listeners and viewers an apology because last time I talked about some very exciting things, as you may recall. We talked about getting involved with new crypto projects, brand new projects, and different ways to do that. I talked about different tokens that you can buy that in exchange for staking those tokens, they don't pay staking rewards in those tokens, but they actually pay in opportunities. And they'll give you the opportunity to purchase brand new projects that are vetted and invested in by the programs at a very, very low price before they reach exchanges, before they're available for sale. But to anybody else, you get an early shot at buying these. And these are the programs that we talked about in our last show, including Card Starter. What I neglected to mention is that the only way to get involved with some of these programs, like if you wanted to buy cards, that's C-A-R-D-S, the cryptocurrency that makes you a part of the Card Starter program, the only way to do that is through a decentralized exchange. And so on a previous show, I had said we were going to talk about DeFi, which is an acronym that just means decentralized finance. And of course, I want to let people know how to use a decentralized exchange to buy something like cards, if that's something they wanted to buy. And so since DeFi and decentralized exchanges are part of each other, today that's what I want to talk about, is decentralized exchanges. And so here we go. First of all, Rick, have you ever used a decentralized exchange?
I have not. I've just glanced at them a little bit on the internet. I recognize they're there. I'd heard you speaking about them before, and so I wanted to just take a look, but I really don't know much at all about them, and so I'm definitely interested to hear more of what you have to say.
Well, that's right. And you know, you are like most people in that you have not used a decentralized exchange before. And I want everyone who's watching to understand that this is why crypto is such an enormous opportunity. People have not adopted this technology yet. It is in its infancy. And this is an opportunity to get exposed to new technologies, to get exposed to new investment opportunities that include investing in the DeFi platforms themselves. In other words, you can actually buy coins that drive these decentralized exchanges. Now, I said the I word, Rick, and you know what that means. We have to make our quick disclaimer here to make sure everybody understands that I'm just a crypto enthusiast and you're just a pastor. We are not investment professionals. We do not give investment advice. We are not certified financial planners, and no one should interpret what we talk about as being something like investment advice. No one should take money and go, spend it the way we're suggesting you to. We're talking about ideas. We're here for education and inspiration. We are not here to give financial advice. But let's get rolling and talk about what a decentralized exchange is. So a lot of times these are referred to as a DEX, which just stands for decentralized exchange. And what it means is that it is a stock exchange, not a stock exchange. It is a currency exchange. It works very similar to a bank, but unlike a bank, nobody works for it. There are no employees of the bank. And there is no real profit motive of the bank. So the bank is not really trying to make a profit on you. They're just trying to serve you. And when I say they, what I really mean is the computer program that is the decentralized exchange. So a DEX is just a computer program that's blockchain based, and it functions as a bank or as a way to exchange one currency for another. Now, there are a lot of other services offered at DEXs, and we'll be talking about those today. But just to begin with, let's talk about the biggest DEX that there is. It's called Uniswap. Uniswap is where you would go if you wanted to buy the cards that we talked about. Card Starter, for example. Let's say you wanted to be part of the card starter program. You want to buy some of that cryptocurrency that's going to pay you in opportunities, which are these offers to purchase new coins that are being developed on the Cardano network for a pre-market price. These are pre-market sales, and they're usually very inexpensive. We're talking about things going for pennies a piece. Well, if you wanted to do that, here are the steps you would have to go through. I'm going to warn everybody, it's a little bit cumbersome and it's a little bit unusual and strange. It's going to strike people as a little bit strange, but here's what you would do. You would go onto an exchange and you would buy some Ethereum, because Uniswap is on the Ethereum blockchain. And then you would go to any internet browser, but preferably Chrome. Chrome is the best one to use. And you would download the MetaMask wallet app and set up a MetaMask wallet. It's a step-by-step process, and this is a crypto wallet that you can store just about any crypto in, especially if it's Ethereum-based or related to the Ethereum blockchain, you can store it in MetaMask. And so once you get your once you get your MetaMask wallet set up, then you go to Uniswap, which all you have to do is go to a Google search and type in Uniswap, and it'll come up immediately, uniswap.io. And then an interface is going to happen on your computer, very much like an app. And it's going to let you trade your Ethereum for whatever you want. In this case, we would say cards, but there are actually thousands of tokens to choose from. These are especially ERC20 tokens. And so anything on the Ethereum blockchain will be available through Uniswap. Now, I encourage everyone to do this, and I'll tell you why. We've talked a lot about Ethereum, and we've talked about how currently it's the dominant blockchain, and for sure right now it's the only way to get cards. Eventually you'll be able to get cards on a Cardano DEX, but there are no Cardano DEXs right now because Cardano is still building out its smart contract capability. So right now Uniswap is the only way to go, and for many things Ethereum is the only way to go. But I was just on Uniswap the other day, Rick, and I was doing a few things on it. And I must tell you, it is a little bit buggy. The user experience is not very high quality. I don't particularly like MetaMask. I didn't like the fact that my transactions were quite expensive. So I was paying $30 a piece for transactions. Why? Because they charge gas fees on the Ethereum blockchain. Now, those fees don't go to any individuals other than the miners who are making the blocks for the Ethereum blockchain. It's not like there's any owner of Ethereum, so it's not quite capitalism. But what it is very inefficient. I did a similar transaction on the Avalanche blockchain the day before, and it cost me 5 cents. I did it on the Ethereum blockchain, and it cost me $35. So, this gives people an idea of, why is Alex so bullish on these new blockchains? Well, because I'm tired of paying high gas fees. I feel like once I have an alternative, I'm never going to use Uniswap again. I'm going to use a blockchain on Avalanche or a blockchain on Cardano. A DEX on Cardano or a DEX on Avalanche, because I don't like paying those high Ethereum gas fees. Of course, the ETH2 people are going to tell you that there's improvements on the way. But the bottom line is, I do encourage people to go ahead and spend the money, if only to have that experience, that user experience of getting ripped off because you have to use the Ethereum blockchain. I want people to know this is what I'm talking about. And it's also good to get your feet wet on a DEX. There are some alternative DEXs too that I'd like to recommend right now. You can use Sushi Swap, which will work pretty similar to Uniswap. And there's another one called Pancake Swap. And the nice thing about Pancake Swap is that it is driven by the Binance Smart Chain. So you won't have the same kinds of gas fees that you'll have on Ethereum. And there are also a lot of opportunities on Pancake Swap for also staking different cryptocurrencies. You can stake one of, I think, a dozen or so cryptocurrencies on Pancake Swap. Once you start staking crypto, which we talked about in a previous show, then you're really participating in DeFi, because instead of making traditional investments or putting money in a savings account, you're buying crypto and staking it on Pancake Swap and earning much higher rates of return. The rates of return on Pancake Swap can range from 6% to 16%. It's really quite impressive. And so all of it is up to you to figure out. And the other thing that can be accomplished on on all these different ones, on Sushi Swap, Pancake Swap, and also Uniswap, is you do have much more access to these new programs that I was talking about last time. The ones that are very inexpensive and that may go very high in value. I think you had some questions about some of these low-cost coins, Rick.
Well, yes, Alex, I do. Now, I'm just going to say, when you start talking about these, and I'm hearing you say what you're saying about what their the cost is, it immediately calls to mind the idea of penny stocks. That some of our listeners may be familiar with that idea. Now, personally, I've always thought of penny stocks as incredibly risky and very likely that you'll just basically lose your entire investment. We don't even need to get into that to some extent, but in general, that's always been kind of considered a risky place to invest your money. It was less to me of an investment and more of a definite speculation. But of course, that's what you're talking about here with these.
These are new programs, Rick. And so to some extent, your parallel with penny stocks is probably correct. I wouldn't want people to buy a new program and think that they're making, a sure bet kind of investment, or that they should have a lot of confidence in the performance of this investment. However, there are some differences that I want to talk about. So a penny stock that's being offered for, let's just say, a penny on a off-market exchange has been evaluated as being worth perhaps a penny. So somebody has looked at it and evaluated the company. The company is not very large. It's not particularly profitable. And therefore, the price of that stock has been put at a penny. And the idea is that, well, who knows? Anything could happen. Maybe the company will suddenly get really successful, and something great will happen, and then you'll make a lot of money if the stock goes up. Sure, but that's just pure speculation, almost to the point of pie in the sky. A new cryptocurrency has some of those qualities, but it's also different in an important way. If you're taking advantage of one of the starter programs. So if you're taking advantage of, say, for example, the Polka Starter, all right, or Card Starter, there are a few big differences between this and penny stocks. The first thing is that to some extent these programs have been vetted. Okay, so they have been looked at by people that know what they're talking about, and they have been considered to be viable programs. So it's not exactly random. These are new projects on brand new blockchains with a lot of potential. And the use case of the project, whatever the project is actually accomplishing on the blockchain, has been deemed by some important people as being pretty worthy. So you've got a little bit of help there. The second and very important thing is that the price that they're offering it to you for is not a market-based price. So it's not as if somebody has looked at it and go, oh, what do you suppose we could get people to pay for this? Maybe a penny. That's the way a market works. In this case, what's happened is, if you're participating in Card Starter, for example, you put money into Card Starter by purchasing cards. You've basically already made an investment, okay, and by buying that cryptocurrency, and you're now part of their program. As repayment for that program, you get a pre-market price on the program, and it's going to be set at some relatively little level. Now, how can they afford to sell this cryptocurrency for such a little money? Well, because they just made it up. That's why. It isn't really anything, you see. It's just cryptocurrency. In other words, they spun it up out of nothing in a sense. So at the moment that they're offering it to you, they can really afford to make it, I don't know, 6 cents a piece or 8 cents a piece. and they'll know how many they're going to sell, and they'll know how much money that's going to raise, and they'll know what they're going to do with that money to take it to the next phase, which is the market phase. Now, why would they do that? Well, they would do it for a couple of reasons. Number one is to repay you for participating in the Card Starter program, which is where the developers got the money to develop the project in the first place. The second reason they would do it is it doesn't really cost them any actual money. So it's easy for them to let you have a shot at these coins early. The third thing that they want is they want you to actually use their program. So let's just say that it's a blockchain project that facilitates deliveries. They've put deliveries on the blockchain. So instead of using UPS, you're going to use this blockchain-based delivery process. Well, they would love for you to start using it. They want you to, they want to get those trucks moving. They want to get their program moving. They want to give you some coins and kind of start it up. It's relatively similar to, maybe you open a pizza place and your first slice of pizza is free or something. They want people to come through the door. They want people to start, getting the ball rolling, if only so that their employees have something to do, get the word of mouth spreading around. Hey, we got deliveries much faster than UPS and it cost us less money. Yeah, that's great word of mouth advertising for these kinds of programs. And then what will happen, and this is very interesting, Rick, is unlike a penny stock where you're paying market price and you're waiting for the market to increase based on who knows what, some pie in the sky idea that the company takes off. In this case, you're getting a pre-market price on a program. And only you get it if you're participating in Polka Starter or Card Starter. This is exclusively for the participants in this program. And then what they'll do next is they'll create a little bit of publicity around the program with the money that they raise from people who bought it for 5 cents a piece. And then they will offer it on the market. And Rick, I'm here to tell you, it could go up on the very first day it was on the market. In other words, once it's on the market, people are like, whoa, blockchain-based delivery, that's going to be amazing, and people will be diving in with both feet, and the price will skyrocket on the very first day it's on the market. There are definitely people who get early access to coins, and they sell them on the very first day they're on the market. They just take their profits and don't wait around to see if blockchain-based delivery takes off. So it's a very unique opportunity. There's one other thing. Go ahead, Rick. Yeah.
Yeah, Alex, I just wanted to say, so what it sounds a little more like analogous then is almost like being involved in a pre-IPO where you're part of the founders, you get some of the founder stock, founder shares of the company, and you get those for, of course, what they figure is pennies on the dollar of it's going to sell for, because the company itself is evaluated, and then they issue the shares for typically many times what the founders in essence paid for any of those people before. So I can see that, and that is definitely a place where I think typically people have to be accredited investors and have to actually be involved in some way with the company, have a connection, and so right. This is an opportunity that would allow the little guy, in essence, to take it, have a chance to get in on something where the gains could be really significant.
Rick, you're absolutely right. Up until now, venture capital was an insider's game. Okay, you had to know somebody, and you probably already had to have a whole lot of money. What these programs are decentralized venture capital. So that for as little as, a few $100s, you can buy in a small piece of a larger venture capital project, and then you get opportunities to buy into those projects at a venture capitalist price, at a very, very low price. And then when it hits the market, you can make a profit on your very first day. Other people, of course, are going to hang on, and they're going to have faith in that, decentralized delivery business. Maybe they love this coin and they think it's going to be very useful, and they can just watch it go up and up and up, depending on what actually happens. And of course, no one knows what's actually going to happen. And venture capital is a risky business, as you may also know. But yeah, it's much more similar to decentralized venture capital. which is what I'm talking about. Now, I just before we end the show, I want to say that it's relatively easy to do everything that I just talked about. All you really have to do is Google it, and there are step-by-step instructions to participate. I do encourage people to start small with smaller amounts of money and smaller amounts of crypto that they're moving around through these different exchanges to get the hang of it before you start throwing money that you actually, would care about into the exchanges. Luckily, you can drive most of this stuff with $5 or $10. So, you don't have to actually take any substantial risks to get familiar with Sushi Swap, Uniswap, Pancake Swap, or any of the DEXs that are going to come out on Poly. They're talking about Polkadot coming out with Polka Swap, and there will be DEXs on Cardano very soon, probably by the end of September. There will be Sunday Swap and some other DEXs. So I encourage people to start small. I also do encourage people to start and to be prepared for a little bit of a buggy experience. And this is something that I want to reach our viewers with before we end the show. When you start experimenting around with crypto, it's doable. You can get the hang of it. You can get good at it. But please be prepared. There is a bit of a learning curve. This is not like buying an iPhone and tapping on music and pushing play and it all just works. Eventually, crypto will be this way, and the opportunity will be essentially over, okay? By the time crypto has become entirely user-friendly, everybody will be using it, and there won't be the growth opportunities that there are today. The crypto community will already be formed. The values and the traditions of the community will already be set in stone. And you'll simply be loading onto a bus that's already been running that somebody else already owns and is profiting off of. The opportunity exists today because it does take a little bit of work. There is a little bit of a learning curve. You will have to have a bit of that Puritan work ethic to get the hang of this. And if it weren't that way, there would not be an opportunity. The reason that you still can do some of the things we just talked about, the reason you can still participate in decentralized venture capital is because not too many people know about it, and not too many people have figured out how to do it. Because you got to get on Uniswap, you got to get that MetaMask wallet. It's not rocket science, Rick, but it is a little bit of a learning curve. And I want people to understand that if they get a little frustrated at first, hang in there, because if it weren't frustrating, the whole world would be doing this. Who doesn't want to make 15% on their money? Everybody wants to make, a guaranteed 15% return. And the fact is that to do it, I just did it the other night on Uniswap. I was mentioning that I was using my MetaMask wallet with the Polygon wallet and transferring stuff between there. It was costing me Ethereum gas fees. It was a real pain, and it was a little bit buggy. But if it weren't that way, everybody would be doing it. If it was just on your iPhone and it's like, do you want to make 15%, tap yes, everybody would be doing it and the opportunity wouldn't be there. The reason they're paying 15% for liquidity right now is because there's not enough liquidity coming into the markets to meet the demand. And so there's just immense opportunities for folks that are getting in early, and we want all our listeners to give it their best shot.
Well, thank you, Alex, and that's really great. I did want to mention before we close as well that I actually was looking at an opportunity that someone was offering online. They were doing a webinar, and I was listening in just because it seemed interesting. They were talking about exactly what you're talking about today, and they were offering a pretty expensive program, much more expensive we're talking about here. We're not charging anything at all, but they were offering a program to teach people how to get on these DeFi exchanges, and then they were going to help them and in essence, recommend certain ones that they felt were a good deal. Of course, again, they aren't investment advisors either, but they were willing to take people's money to help them just to be able to get on to these decentralized exchanges. So if you can figure it out yourself, you're going to save yourself I looked to me like it was somewhere over $1,000 that they wanted to charge for that. So
and listen, I appreciate them coming out with that message, but paying $1,000 for that information is really not necessary. I want everybody to know that one of the biggest ones that program is recommending is staking Ethereum. Okay, it's not rocket science. And I don't even like that recommendation because when you stake Ethereum, it gets locked up until ETH2 comes out, which is a very long time. Now, it probably is a good investment, but in the short term, you can stake Avalanche for 5%. You can stake Cardano for 5%. You can stake Matic for 15% right there in its own wallet. And if you go on Pancake Swap, there's about 10 staking opportunities that are really the best in the business. So it's not rocket science. It is not, you don't have to pay $1,000 to figure out which cryptos to stake. There's actually only a few that really have the market cap that you would want, that are the size that you want. We'll probably have to talk about market cap next time in tokenomics so that we can help people out. And just to review our process that we're recommending for folks, we want Christians to get into this space, research the major blockchains, go ahead and buy some cryptocurrency in some of the major blockchains, especially the up and coming large cap ones that we really love, like Cardano. We like Polygon, which is also called Matic. We like Polkadot. I own everything that we talk about, so that's full disclosure. Please, everybody understand that I am a crypto fanatic, so it would be hard for me to talk about a cryptocurrency that I don't own, and that's just how it goes. But what else? And then the next thing we want people to do is we want them to stake the stakeable major blockchains, and then start to get interested in DEXs. Start to look for the opportunity to participate in new programs in the ways we talked about today. That's our investment process so far. In our next show, we'll probably talk about tokenomics and how to determine the size and the growth potential of a blockchain by looking at some of the statistics that's available for all the different blockchains.
Well, Alex, thank you so much again. This, like I always say, your information is always fascinating and worthwhile, and I do look forward to that. I know there's a whole lot to cover, and we're trying to get through as much as we can in our first shows we're putting out. But do stick with us. Do feel free to subscribe, like our content, comment, ask questions, and of course, share with your friends. If you know other Christians who you think could gain anything at all from this content, please do share it with them, because we want to get the word out and be able to have an ethical and moral influence on the world of blockchain.
When the revolution happens, we want it to be beneficial for all of God's children all over the world. And we feel like the more good people we can get involved, the better. And Rick, I really appreciate your contributions here today, and it's always great doing shows with you. I look forward to our next show.